you're reselling vintage clothes or thinking about getting started and you want to know what actually sells, then you're in the right place. This is a binge watch guide made from my best performing videos on vintage brands, trends, and styles that are making resellers loads of real money on platforms like eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, and Depop. You can watch this straight through like a Netflix episode or use the chapters to jump to what you need. Either way, this is the video I'd recommend starting with if you want to resell vintage more confidently and without guessing. Delia's, and this is a smaller brand. There's going to be less items that you'll probably find, but it is a good one to know about. And a lot of these looks, this brand was really popular. This brings back so much nostalgia because I got the catalog, I bought their clothes back when you had to buy through a catalog and not on a website, I guess. But you're going to see coats, for example, this toggle coat. These are really popular with those toggles. That one went for $35. This basic kind of thermal t-shirt, that one went for $30. Got a fur jacket there that went for $75. I'm seeing some really good keywords being used here. For example, this one is using Barbie because it has that hot pink, whimsy goth, shaggy, disco. Those are some really good keywords. If you need help with keywords, I do have a keyword poster. I will leave a link for over here. I know when I'm listing items, it can be really hard to recall things. Recall keywords right off the bat, that this will help you. So those are some more items, some more toggle jackets there. And then this is what that Delia's tag looks like. And they do use that little kind of star thing instead of an apostrophe or whatever else. So that is what that tag looks like. And then the next brand is Rampage. And this is another one that was really big right around that era. And it wasn't a particularly high quality or high costing brand, but this look is really back in, and so that's why these items are selling for these kinds of prices. So for example, $50 for that dress there. We've got another dress here for almost $50, another one for almost $50. Here's one for $60 that has that button front that is really popular right now, part of that look. A square neck top, that one went for $32. Also, that crop was really in during that era, which is now back. Another dress there for $48. And then this is what that Rampage tag looks like. If you're enjoying this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up so that I know to make more videos like this. I've got lots more brands headed your way. The next brand that we are going to be covering is LEI. And this one, there's a lot of items from this brand, a lot of different types of items that are selling right now. For example, things like this purse, even shoes. But one of their more popular items are their jeans. And especially if you can find jeans that have special detailing on them. This one, again, that has lace up, and that was really popular. You're going to see that on some other items in this video, but those jeans lace up, those are really popular. I'm actually surprised that that only sold for $30 because a lot of those styles are actually selling for closer to the $100 mark or even more in some cases. Even like those boots, that one surprised me a little bit. Those went for $26. I got another one of those tank tops that sold for a decent amount. I'm not sure. We'd have to look that up. Got another pair of jeans here. That one went for $55. And then the bags are really trending right now with this brand as well as other brands from this era. And that it looks like that lot of two went for $26, as well as chunky shoes. So that's another item to be on the lookout for that is starting to trend again, has been trending, I should say, for a little while. But that chunky look, a lug sole like what those boots have, what those shoes have, and those went for $40. And then this is what that LEI tag looks like right there. All right, next brand is Esprit, and this is a brand that has been around for a long time. It actually, I think, started in the 80s, if I'm not wrong on this, but right around the 90s, 2000 era, these items are actually trending pretty well. So we got a color block jacket. This one sold for $30. That might be a little bit more early 90s versus Y2K. This one's actually really good. This jacket right there, that's a good example of that Y2K era, $35 that went for. We got a striped tee. That's another big trend from this era is those stripes. That one went for $30 $1. We got a trench jacket there, just a whole bunch of different variety of items with this. And we got a dress here with those spaghetti straps. Again, that one went for $35. And then the tags do vary a lot, but they will have this E where it is those 3 lines, and that's how you recognize that. And the colors might look a little bit different. What it says underneath might look a little bit different, but that is what Esprit looks like when you see it on a tag. Now, if you are enjoying this video, I did do a complete update to my vintage clothing guide where you're going to get over 150 different brands and vintage items. This is one of the most lucrative niches to be in. I'm going to leave a product card for that over here. The next brand is Ocean Pacific. Now, this is a really surprising one because this brand is still around. I believe it's actually sold at Walmart, so it's like not very expensive. It's not one you want to really be sourcing. But when it comes to these older items, it's a completely different story. So one of the most popular are these corduroy shorts. I'm going to zoom in on those for you. Those are selling for around that $50 mark. So those sold for $50, and those are men's shorts. So if you come across those are pretty good money. Here we got another striped shirt. Again, those stripes are really big right now. That one sold for $50. Another striped shirt here, that one went for $45. And what you're looking for with these are that older tag. That's really going to be the best indication that that is, worth your time. I got a pair of baggy pants there. Those ones went for $40. And the tag is blue. That is what it looks like, Ocean Pacific. Next brand is JNCO. This is, if you've seen my videos before, you may have seen me talk about this brand because this is one of my favorite. And this is classic Y2K era, classic kind of grunge look with these wide legs. And these are selling for a lot. So we got a pair of jeans here. This one actually went for $400 from this brand. Jackets for $60, but their jeans are really probably the more popular items, even if you come across a t-shirt though. So example, another example of those stripes there, that one sold for $40. We got another pair of jeans here, super, super wide leg. It actually says 50-inch. So side note, when you are listing these, buyers will want to know that leg opening. That one went for $320. We got another pair there that went for $300. So you can see these can go for quite a bit of money. And then this is what that looks like. The tags do vary quite a bit, but that gives you a pretty good example to be able to find those for yourself. That brand does have a lot of embroidery, a lot of graffiti, inspired patterns, designs. Next brand is Juicy Couture, which I did have on my do not source list, which is true for most of their items. But for the Y2K era items, these are really hot right now. And in particular, their tracksuits, their velour, and they will have a lot of detailing embroidery on the back side of the jacket as well as on the back side of the pants. That was really popular for this era. I'm not sure if I can find a specific one. You have to look at it's on the rear end is where it would be, where those words would be. And that is really popular with this brand in particular. So we got a kid. This is actually a kid's track set there. That one went for $38. We got an adult one that went for $51. A jacket here, that one went for $50. And that has, on the backside, all of that design. Another one for $30. Again, their bags are also really popular right now. I saw one up here. That one went for $35 or $350. So be on the lookout for that specifically with these items. This is a brand where you don't want to just source everything just because it is this brand, but you want to be really selective. And so that's that tag if you have not seen that one before. Next brand is Phat Farm, another streetwear brand. And these items, this one here, this is a hoodie, I believe. That one went for $49. I got a jacket here. That one went for $99. That velour track jacket, again, I got a sweater here. That one went for $40. Another sweater here, interesting design. That one went for $50. Got a jacket here. It looks like it has fur trim to that. That one went for $125. And then this is what that Phat Farm tag looks like. If you're enjoying this video and you want to unlock even more brands, you're going to want to make sure to check out my Big Money Brands Guide. This is pushing 800 brands that are selling for over that $20 average sale price. This includes done for you research of average sale price, sell-through rate, I even give you all of the tag photos. So it's all there right at your fingertips, and you don't have to spend hour after hour after hour watching videos. It's all there right in front of you. The next brand that I have for you is South Pole. This is another streetwear brand from the Y2K era that is really pretty popular when it comes to resale, and the hoodies in particular. So this one sold for $60. We got another one here that went for $70. But even a pair of pants here, those jeans, those ones went for $80. T-shirt, basic t-shirt, that one went for $26. We got some more hoodies down here, or jackets down here, $49. Pair of jeans there, that one went for $125 just because of that wide leg as well as that embroidery. And I'm seeing some more good keywords here of hip hop and skater. Side note, a lot of people do use JNCO as a keyword, so keep that in mind if you're doing research on that brand. And then this is what that South Pole tag looks like there for you. Next brand is Guess, and this is another one that is still around, still a fairly decent brand, but the Y2K items are selling for more, usually in most cases I should say, are selling for more than the current items. A good example of this here is this leather jacket. That one sold for $120. This sweatshirt, that one went for $30. Got a pair of jeans here for $35. Another leather jacket there, that one went for $85. Peacoat for $45. This basic shirt, that one went for $26. Here's that lug sole again, that chunky sole on these shoes. That's really popular with this trend. That one went for $55. I'm seeing even these sandals, flip-flops, that went for $31. And then the bags as well. So keep these in mind. These are classic Y2K. I'm going to zoom in on that so hopefully you can see that a little bit better. That one went for $110 just because of the look. We got another one there that went for $129. And then this is what the Guess tag looks like. They do vary quite a bit, so that gives you just an example, but it will say pretty clearly what the brand is. The next brand is Tapout. Now these t-shirts can sell for a lot, even if they're ripped, even if they have holes, even if they have paint. So if you come across these items that have flaws, get them. Don't pass them by. And I've sold those before, put them on auction or something, and they've gone for more than I had even imagined. So that one went for $38. Another one here for $32. This is another good place where you can use that keyword of all over print. We got a jacket here. That one went for $120. We got, some more t-shirts, $45, $30. We got another hoodie there that went for $60. And then that is what that tag looks like for Tapout. Next brand is Fox Racing. And this is another one of those brands that is still around, but the 90s, 2000s, Y2K era items, are in a special or in higher demand. Here's a hoodie. That one went for $85. We got another jacket over here, another kind of grunge. I'm seeing a grunge keyword in there, so that is great. That's a really good keyword to use. That one's $49 that one sold for. Got another jacket here. That one went for $58. And even like this t-shirt, or I think it's a polo, is it a sweatshirt? That one went for $35. We got another sweatshirt there for $50. Keep those in mind. They do have some items where they partnered with Monster Energy. So if you come across any of these, like that t-shirt, that one went for $35. We got another Monster Energy one here. That one went for $35 as well. And then this is what that Fox Racing tag looks like. And it does have that little fox face like that. So that's a good way to be able to identify that item. Next brand is Tommy Hilfiger, another brand that's, still around today, but their items can sell for quite a lot. Now, as I'm going through these, I do want to mention that I do have a filter in here for $25 minimum on all of the items that I'm showing you. And that just gives a way to be able to find the items that are actually probably worth your time, and to be able to identify keywords that are trending, that are popular, that are working to get items sold. And so with this one, I do want to show you items that are higher than this, because there are items from Tommy Hilfiger that are selling for, $100 plus, maybe a few $100s in some instances. And the color blocking is really big with this brand.
So let me see if I can find a good example of this. So this button up right here, that's a really good example of color blocking. That one went for $35. We got some more color blocking here with that one that went for $32, a jacket there for $30. Another one here, that one went for $165. Some overalls for $64. But what I'm going to do is actually put this in, and I have not done this ahead of time, but we'll see what comes back. I'm going to put a minimum price of $100, refresh the page here, and then we're going to see what comes back, because there are items from Tommy Hilfiger that are selling for, quite a bit of money from this era. So we got a pair of jeans here. That one went for $130. We got that tracksuit set again. That one went for $110. Some overalls there, couple pair went for $125, $130. And then that is what that Tommy Hilfiger tag looks like if you have not seen that. Next brand is Paco. Another kind of streetwear, baggy jeans, hoodies, that sort of types of items. Got a t-shirt here. This one sold for $50. Got a hoodie there that sold for $60. Pair of jeans for $80. Some more jeans, $100 here. Those ones went for $100 because of that wide leg. So be on the lookout for anything with that wide leg. And sometimes with that style, it doesn't even really matter what brand it is if it has that look. We got another pair of jeans for $50 and $60. And then this is what the tag looks like. It definitely has that graffiti influence to the tag and to their items as well. And then G Unit. So this is 50 Cent's brand. That is no longer around, but the items are still selling for a decent amount. So example, the shorts here went for $30. We got a hoodie there that went for $40. A t-shirt here that went for almost $50. Another t-shirt, $25. And then the hats are still, selling pretty well as well. We got a hat down here. That one went for $50, and then a pair of jeans there for $75. And then this is what that G Unit tag looks like. The next brand is Abercrombie and Fitch. Obviously, this brand is still around. It actually started long before Y2K, so there are vintage items that you will come across, and I do go into this in my vintage clothing guide with older items. But for this video, obviously, we're looking at just Y2K, so I did put that in the search to be able to pull up just items that were going to come back with that Y2K keyword in the title and the description. And so this is a good example of a hoodie. And those letters are actually raised. So that's part of the look of this. There's another really good example where those letters are raised and it has that Varsity look to it. So those sweatpants sold for $40. That jacket, the hoodie, went for $45. That's a really popular look from this brand. We got another micro skirt or mini skirt here. That one went for $40. So you're going to see that trend popping up from this era as well. And then this is what that, and I got a couple more down here, a couple more mini skirts that went for $75 a piece. And this is what that Abercrombie and Fitch tag looks like. Next brand is Diesel, and this one is really popular for shoes, for jeans, for denim jackets. And these style of shoes are really popular. So if you do come across Diesel shoes that are like this, they can sell for quite a bit. So example, that one sold for $39, but then this one that's a little bit more rare. It has this kind of interesting design at the bottom. Those ones did sell for $130. And then their jeans those are a really good thing to be on the lookout for. And they can sell for, $50 to $80. Got a jacket here. That one sold for $185. Some bags here from that era. Again, baguette style bag. That one went for $125. That look was really popular from then. Got another mini skirt there, $75. Actually another one there too. So that one went for $51. And then this is what the Diesel tag looks like. I believe I have this pulled up here for you. My computer's just being a little bit slow because I have a lot of tabs open right now. Yeah, so that is that Diesel tag there. And they can look a little bit different, particularly in the jeans, but that gives you a pretty good idea. Next brand is Miss 60, and this brand is still around, but the Y2K era items are probably a little bit more popular. So the jean jackets, these shirts that are tight fitting, that one went for $35. We've got some more of those micro skirts there. The other thing that's really popular with these micro skirts, and you can kind of see it on this one a little bit better, is that pleating. And so that one was, it looks like it was listed for 143. A best offer was accepted. So we'd have to look that up to see how much, but I would imagine, that's possible that sold for $100 or maybe a little bit more. And there's another fur trim, one of those fur trim jackets. That one went for $60. Another skirt there, jeans. And then this is what that Miss 60 tag looks like right there. There are some variations on that tag, but most of them look like that. That's one of those variations. And then the next brand is called Kikwear. This is another brand that went after that wide leg look with their jeans, like super wide. And these are selling for, in some cases, $100 or more dollars. A pair here went for $160. Another pair there for $100. Another for $175. So these are some pretty good amounts on these. And really the story with these is the wider the better. We got another pair listed for $230 there. Another pair for $250. This is actually a Tommy Hilfiger that popped up. So that's a really good example of Tommy Hilfiger. I'm glad I spotted that right now. So that one actually sold for $500. It looks like they probably just used Kikwear as a keyword for that item just because it has that wide leg. So $500 for that Tommy Hilfiger. I wish I would have seen that a little bit earlier, but that's okay. And then this is what that tag looks like. You can kind of make out here Kikwear on those jeans. Next brand is let me see if I can say this one correctly. Enyce. And by Googling this, I've never been quite sure how to say this, but by Googling, at least according to Google, the way that they found out you say this brand is they asked employees. But it's basically, if you look at the middle of the word, it's NYC, ENYC, so New York City. And then they just added an E to either end and apparently call it Enyce. This is another one of those streetwear brands that was around for a short period of time, no longer around as far as I know, but the items are really popular right now. So we got another one of those track jackets there that does have that kind of funky color blocking, square blocking, and that is velour. That one went for $90. Got a jacket there for $50. A striped shirt. Again, those stripes are really big. That one went for $40. Some jeans here, I'm seeing $30 to $40 price range for these items. And then this is what that Enyce tag looks like in right there for you. Next brand is Kappa, and this is actually an Italian sportswear brand. And they make a lot of items for soccer. You may have seen these before. And I'm going to show you the tag first because this pattern is on a lot of their items. So that is what that looks like. It's a man and woman sitting back to back. And then they do use that theme on their items. For example, that track set right there, the top and bottom, that one sold for $57. They do use it, for example, down the arms of jackets. That one went for probably $40. It looks like a best offer was accepted. We got a jacket over here for $60. Another jacket here for $37. That t-shirt there for $30. Pair of jeans for $40. And that, again, that does have that man and woman down the legs of the jeans. So that's a good way to be able to identify this brand. Side note, they also do make shoes. So for example, that one went for $68. So be on the lookout for that. Next brand is Akademiks. This is another one of those defunct brands that's not around anymore, but the items are still, selling quite well. Got a hoodie here for $55. It looks like a polo. That one went for $40. That'd be another good one to use that all over print for. T-shirt there with that stripes, that went for $35. Got some jeans selling for a decent amount, $35 to $30 for these. And they do have a lot of that kind of graffiti style, streetwear style, as well as embroidery on those. So try to zoom in on that for you. Hopefully you can see that a little bit. Another thing that I'm noticing right now that I haven't mentioned yet is from this Y2K era, this whiskering on the jeans was super popular. So that's just kind of those bleach lines. So I'm seeing that there. Those went for $50. You got another pair up here that have that same kind of whiskering. That one went for $32. And you can actually just, use that as a keyword, whiskering, in your title because people are looking for that. And then that is an example of the tag. They do have some different variations on that, but that gives you a good example of what to look for. Next brand is Kookai. This is a brand, again, that's been around since before the 90s, 2000s era, but they are popular. These items from that era are popular, as well as their older items. Not to say that their older items aren't popular, but for this video, we're looking at Y2K, obviously. So again, embroidery on the jeans, that's kind of the common theme from this era. That one went for $50, $59. One of their most popular items, though, are these sweaters. And these are very kind of a 3D, chunky, texture-y is kind of what I'm trying to say, and a lot of stripes. Those are selling for the most money when it comes to Kookai. That's kind of what they're known for. That one went for $200 for that sweater. I'm looking over here at that t-shirt that went for $25, which isn't too bad. We got another one of those chunky knit sweaters. That one went for $99. And then this is what that Kookai tag looks like right there for you, and that is an Australian brand. Next brand is what's called Zana D. I believe that I'm saying it right. That's at least how I said it when this brand was popular. But one of their most popular items right now that is selling are these patchwork style jeans as well as jackets. You're going to find the jeans more commonly than the jackets. That's probably kind of a rare find. Good example, $45, $48 that these are selling for. But this is really it was a common trend for this brand. Other brands you'll find this with, and they're going to sell as well too. But this is, at least as far as I know, as far as I remember, according to my memory, this was kind of the brand that did this look. And that's why you'll see a lot of this from this brand of what is selling. So $45 for another patchwork there. Got another one there. Some right there. That one went for $50. These cargo skirts, I haven't mentioned that as well, but that's another good look from this era where it's long. It's that maxi skirt, but then it has those cargo pockets on it as well. And then this is a pair of jeans there that has that example of the lace up that's up and down both sides of the jeans. I know current brands are starting to incorporate this trend, but it really was from this era, probably actually from the 70s now that I think about it. But that pair sold for $25. If you find that in other brands, they are selling for, maybe $50 to $100 in some cases, depending on the brand, depending on that style with that lace up.
Now that you've seen the brands that buyers are actually searching for, the next piece of the puzzle is style. Because let's face it, even the right brand won't sell if it's the wrong style. And that's where a lot of resellers get stuck. In this next section, I'm breaking down the vintage styles that are trending right now and flipping for profit. Roll the tape. First up, I've got vintage board shorts. Now, what we're looking at is specifically women's, but men's vintage board shorts sell just as well, if not better. But I wanted to show these to you because they are pretty recognizable, easy to spot when it comes to vintage. They do have that shorter inseam, as well as the laces up the front. There's a pair of Ocean Pacific that sold there for $65. So with all of these that I'm showing you, these types of items, it doesn't necessarily have to be based on certain brands. Of course, that does matter. But when it comes to these vintage styles that are trending right now, that are hot right now, it can be just random brands that are selling for quite a bit of money. Next up, I've got Juicy Couture, which is a big brand, but it's one that you want to be very selective with. And specifically when it comes to the vintage items that are trending, these tracksuits are hot. And so with these, you'll see a lot of big writing across the front. A lot of the pants have that writing as well. So for example, there's the writing down the leg of that pant. Those sold for $38. This jacket there went for $55. So some pretty good prices on these. You'll see writing on the back as well. So that hoodie there, that one went for $40. We got another couple down there around that $30 price point. So if you find these, you'll also notice that they are velour. So that is the fabric type, the material type to keep your eye out for. Now, this is a really surprising one. This is from Pink by Victoria's Secret, and these are fold over top yoga pants that we're looking at. Some of them aren't, but what I am specifically showing you here are these fold over pants because these are selling
for some crazy amounts. And I only wish I would have kept the ones that I had. So let me scroll down here a little ways. They're selling into the $100. So we got a pair here. It looks like it has pink zebra with that writing on the backside. That one sold for $135. We got another one there that went for $46. Another pair here for $140. It looks like another one here for $180. So if you come across these, definitely pick them up. I did pull up some of these actual sold prices where the best offer was accepted. I do have a video I will link to up here. And there is a pair here where that sold for $100 there. And I'll walk you through step by step how to see those sold prices for yourself when a best offer was accepted in that video. Next is spaghetti straps, specifically from the Y2K era. This trend was really popular then, and it's trending now. And so you'll see this in dresses as well as tank tops. And these are some of the prices that these are selling for. By the way, I do have what I'm showing you today filtered down to $25 and above, just to weed out some of those lower price point items. But I want you to see what is possible with this style of shirt and these items that I'm showing you today. So we got one here, that one sold for $65. Got a shirt there. It says Chevy Girl. That one sold for $25. So some pretty decent prices on these considering what they are. We got another one here for $26. Another shirt there for $35. That one sold for another one there for $30. And again, it doesn't really necessarily matter the brand with these. Here's a really good example of a brand, Abercrombie, that's not particularly the best brand, but it is trending for those vintage items and specifically with these styles. So $25 for that. I do see some really good keywords in here. So I'm seeing Y2K and goth. With these, you want to be sure that you're going for those aesthetic keywords, including those in your listing. I do have a poster I will link to over here so you can get those listings whipped up in a snap and get them in front of the right buyers. Next are JNCO jeans. And this is one that if you come across, you do not want to sleep on these because these can sell for hundreds of dollars. I did pull up everything with the word JNCO in the title, but I'm talking about the pants here. The shirts, decent amount, $40, jacket there, $45, but really the jeans are what are selling for hundreds of dollars. So we got a pair there that went for $205. And we got another pair here that went for $334. Another pair down here, this went for $280. What you're going to see on these is skeletons is really common, but you're going to see a lot of embroidery. And so that one happens to have a bulldog on it. This one up here did have that skull. So those can sell for in the hundreds of dollars. Next up are vintage lug soles. By the way, if you are enjoying this video so far, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and let me know that you would love to see more Bolo content like this. Now with a lug sole shoe, these have that really aggressive tread on the bottom like this. And I'm going to show you here some brands that are not particularly great brands, but are selling for a decent amount. And actually this one that I just showed you, this is by a brand called Soda. This is pretty much like a very low value brand, but that one did sell for $40 just because of that price. We got a pair of Skechers here. That one went for $50. We got some down here that I wanted to show you that actually went for a decent amount considering they're right here, Lower East Side. So if you don't recognize the name of that brand, it was from the store that I believe is no longer around, Payless Shoe Source. And that one sold for $50 just because of the style of that shoe. Probably brand new, those were only like $20. So the prices on these lug soles it's going to depend on the condition of the shoe. Of course, that comes into play a lot with the shoes. But with this is a trend that is really, really hot right now. So if you do come across any shoes like this, it says late 90s, early 2000s, that's that Y2K era. Those are really popular. So that went for $42 there. Next up are vintage ski suits. I'm noticing right now, I'm actually going to change this really quick to have men's and women's. I was just on women's. But with these, what you're looking for is this really colorful design. Now, those are pretty well sought after. We got a set there, a suit there that went for $64. Got another one here for $60. And so again, this is more about the look rather than just the brand. We got a Sears one here. That one went for $50. So again, it does not have to come down to the brand with these types of items. Next up are varsity lettering is what I'm trying to say. And so I did pull up sweatpants. You're going to see this on shirts as well, on hoodies, on shirts, on, anything you wear on the upper body in addition to those shorts and pants. And what you're looking for with these are raised lettering. I'm actually going to show you here. I do have this pulled up so you can see it a little bit better. But with this, you're going to have these raised letters. And that's what I call varsity lettering that you're going to see on these. And with this pair of pants, they're just showing that it has some bleach marks on it. This one did sell for almost $44 for those, even with those stains. And yeah, that's that pair right there. We got a pair of shorts there that went for $29, a pair of sweatpants that went for $34. Again, I happen to just pull up the pants, but if you find this trend on shirts as well, on hoodies, on jackets. We got a jacket here. That one went for $34. This is another trend that is really sought after this season. Next up are vintage rugby stripe shirts. These rugby shirts are super, super popular right now, and they are very thick. When you come across them, you will know what it is that I'm talking about. They are heavyweight, and they typically have a different color than the rest of the shirt. For example, a white collar and then red and blue stripes. That is how those rugby shirts look. And these, again, are very popular. So they're selling for quite a bit. This Land's End one, that one sold for $60. We got a polo Ralph Lauren that sold for $50. Got another Columbia one over here that sold for $36. American Eagle, $24. LL Bean, $25. So some of these brands that did make this style of rugby shirt. Again, these are really, really popular right now, especially with unique colors. So this pink and purplish one, that one went for $65. Next up is vintage micro skirts. So these are little tiny skirts. And what you're going to notice with these, you're going to see a few trends that keep popping up over and over. What you're going to notice with these, the ones that are really popular right now, even more so than just the denim skirts, are actually the skirts with pleating. So here's a really good example of one. This one went for $100. That was an Abercrombie and Fitch skirt. $100. That was a wool skirt, and it has all of that pleating down at the bottom. Got another one over here that's actually a Burberry, so that one went for $78. But again, it does not have to be a certain brand. Here's one that is the brand's not listed. That one went for $32. We got another one here that has a little bit of pleat down there at the bottom. That one went for $40 just because of that look. Got another one there, again, a no-name brand. That one went for $25. Got a few more down here. This one probably went for over that $100 mark. We got another Abercrombie one down there that went for $100 plus. We got another one over here that is actually from the brand Hollister, and this one went for $67. So again, it shows that you don't have to be dependent on just having good brands. Next are vintage cargo pants. And these are pants that have those cargo pockets on the side. So we got a pair of Gap here. I'm going to zoom in on that so you can see it. It's got those cargo pockets up on the upper thigh. That pair sold for $100. We got another pair there that went for $50. But again, it does not have to be a certain brand. A Gap, it probably did not cost that much out of the store, but these are selling for a pretty decent amount when you can find those cargo pockets like that, because that is a really big trend in today's fashion world. So keep your eye out for those cargo pockets. Another item very similar to those cargo pants are what are actually called Paratrooper pants. So with these, they're going to be a much lighter weight material, and they're going to have more pockets. So we've got Abercrombie. This is a really popular brand when it comes to those Paratrooper style pants. Those ones sold for $140. You'll notice that there is a tie around the bottom so that it can be cinched around those ankles. Got a Polo Ralph Lauren one that went for $112. Got another Polo one here that went for $80. So you can see the prices on these are pretty good. This is a Old Navy. This falls under one of those brands that I recommend staying away from for the most part, except for certain instances. And this is one of those instances. So this one went for $40 because it is that style of paratrooper pant with the cinching around the ankle and those cargo pockets and that lighter weight material. So you got another pair of Gap there that went for $90. Another Polo went for $70. So again, keep your eyes out for these. Next item that I've got for you are vintage Nordic sweaters. And so these are sweaters that have any sort of Nordic vibe to them, any sort of Nordic print to them, knitted into the material, not really print, I guess. So I got, looks like some caribou there, got another one with moose on it. Snowflakes are really common with this Nordic style. And so these can sell for quite a bit depending on the material and depending on the brand. So we got Eddie Bauer there. That one went for, looks like $49. This moose one from Ralph Lauren went for almost $200, $186 there. Dale of Norway is a really popular brand in this type of category, and those will sell for $100 to $200. We got, I see one right there for $84. That's kind of a more plain one. If you come across ones that are, see if I can find one in here. If you come across ones that are a little bit more unique design, wild design, those are going to sell for a little bit more. So we got one right here. That one sold for $200. That is an Olympics one that I'm seeing that one went for $200 because of that Dale of Norway again. Next is lace up jeans. With these are so popular right now, and they are big money. So what I mean by lace up is up the where you would find a zipper or snaps that will lace up, or they will also have laces on the sides of the jeans, and it may be just up the lower part of the leg, or it could be the whole length, like the pair that you're seeing here. That one went for $85, and this is by a brand called Mud, which is again like a very low value brand, but it's only selling for that much because of that style. So keep your eyes out for these. We got another lace up there. That one actually does not look vintage to me. We got another one here, $25, another one's $97 there. So keep your eye out for anything with that lace up. They are a little bit harder to find. We got a LEI pair here. So again, another not very high value brand, but it did sell for this much because of that style. And it does look like it's laced down to about the knee and then open from there down. The next brand I've got for you, or next item that I've got for you, are patchwork jeans. And so what I'm specifically talking about with these are jeans where it's like this or it's like this. And so this Zana D, that's actually a pretty popular brand that made these back in the day, and that they are trending now. So $32, $40, they may sell, even upwards to $60, $80 depending on the size. Got another one there, $38 that one sold for. So keep your eye out for those vintage jeans. Looks like we got another interesting pair there for $35. I've got lots more still to go through, but I do want to mention that if you are enjoying seeing these vintage items to resell for big money, then you're going to want to make sure to check out my newly updated vintage clothing guide, where I give you over 100 different items and brands to be on the lookout for in this very lucrative niche. Next up are Sherpa lined jackets, and I specifically pulled up denim jackets here. And if you find any of these vintage jackets with that Sherpa lining, that is that kind of fur lining, and you'll see that around the collar. Those can sell for right around that $50 to $100 mark. So we got that Levi's there for $47 with also that awesome acid wash. Got American or Abercrombie and Fitch over there that went for $60. Again, it doesn't really matter the brand with this. If you find this Sherpa trim, even in brands that aren't maybe quite so recognizable, go ahead and pick them up. They're still going to be selling for right around that $50 mark.
Next, I've got vintage Y2K era purses. You'll see that I did pull out Coach because a lot of items were coming back with that. And what I really want to show you in this video is other brands, maybe not so high-end brands that are selling for a decent amount when it comes to these vintage trends. We got Dulce in here. We've got some other, maybe bigger brands in here. So what I want to actually show you are some brands that aren't quite so big, items that are selling for maybe a little bit more than what you might expect when it comes to the brand, and they're selling for this much just because of the look. We got this one here that went for $60. We got a vintage Gap one here that one probably went for right around that $30 mark. A Guess bag here. This is a really good example of what this looks like in that Y2K era, kind of a rounded baguette style. I'm not exactly sure what you would call that style of purse, but that's kind of what they look like with that more rounded look to them. And that one went for $152 for a Guess purse. And these are selling, again, for a surprising amount. We got another one there, another Guess one that one went for $75. You're seeing a lot of brands in here that are, that you might expect a little bit more for. Here's another unbranded one. That one went for $24 for that, just because of the look. We got a 9 West Half Moon. Okay, that's probably the right style of bag there. That one went for $28, the right style that I was looking for, that name that I was looking for. Next up are vintage denim skirts that are long in length. So we already looked at those micro skirts, but it's not just those micro skirts that are selling well. It's also skirts that are that long floor length, and especially denim skirts. So you're going to see a big variety here of what is selling. So you got one with this button up down it. It says $55 is what it sold for. I am noticing that they did use cottage core. Again, if you are looking at using keywords in your title, which you should be, and all of those different cores, maybe it's hard to keep track of, then you're going to want to make sure that you check out my poster where these will put the keywords right in front of you, so they're right at your fingertips right when you're listing. Got another skirt here that went for $30. $30 to $40 is pretty common for any of these skirts, and you may not think that they're worth a special especially a lot. Got another one here for $36, $38. I do find that a lot of resellers pass these over, and again, it does not have to be any sort of special brand with these. It's more about the look. We got a Studio West one. That one went for $25. Genealogy $42. Levi's one there for about $40. Angel's Denim. So that's a good example of a brand that is not very high value. That one still sold for $25. Next up are Y2K baby tees. So these are super popular, really trending right now. And what these are tight fitting t-shirts, and they have this little small sleeve on them. So it shows a lot of the arm, maybe a little bit of the shoulder. That Abercrombie one went for $25. We got a Twilight one over there that went for $30. But it's really the huge variety that are selling for quite a bit. This one with monkeys on it says "Don't burst my bubble." That one went for $38. But there's all sorts of variety with this one. We got another one over there with that raglan sleeve. That one went for $50. It does look like a Disney baby Phat here that went for $20. Got a Janis Joplin ringer t-shirt. That one went for $45. So again, keep your eye out for these types of shirts. The next item that I've got for you are vintage overalls. These have been trending for a while, but they are still hot. They're selling for around that $40 to even $100 mark, depending on what it is. We got a pair of overalls there, $75. Another pair there, $75. Of Liberty is the brand of that one. Got another pair of red wool overalls. That is interesting. That one went for $48. What I was specifically trying to pull up here, and I probably should have put denim, are denim jeans, or denim overalls. This pair, Calvin Klein, that one went for $100. And then the other kind of category that is similar to this is short alls. So short alls, those are just short
overalls, and these can sell for quite a bit as well. So we've got the brand Lee. This one sold for $50. We got another one here that has a dog and some flowers on it. So that is really interesting. That one sold for $30. We got a Eeyore one here. So if you do find any Winnie the Pooh, any Disney characters, those can sell for quite a bit. We got a Lady and the Tramp one there. That one went for $36. So these are some pretty interesting items to come across. Next up are denim jumper dresses. And these are kind of similar to those overalls and shortalls that we were just looking at. But what you're going to want to look for with these is that denim that usually sells for a little bit more, and as well as some of those characters that we were talking about. With these, I would suggest using the keyword modest. That can really help. I've also had people buy these for post-surgery because they're easy to put on. So that could be another option for keywords for you. This one right here, I want to point out, this is a Chip and Dale, the little chipmunks from Disney, from the Disney cartoon. That one sold for $100 for that. That was one of my favorite cartoons. Probably not an item that I would buy though. We got another one with cats here on it, on that one. That one sold for $35. So some interesting ones here. We got one that has a little bit more of an overall look to it that did sell for $50. I see somebody did lot some together, 5 of them for $100. So that is a really good idea with these. We got another Looney Tunes one here, Sylvester and Tweety. That one sold for $30. Next, I've got band t-shirts, and these are crazy popular right now. I am noticing that I am on the women's category. I am going to leave that there just for demonstration purposes, but men's band t-shirts are selling equally as well. And some of these are pretty surprising for how much they're selling for. We've got a Bruce Springsteen one. That one sold for $70. We've got AC/DC there. That's actually not a very big name brand, or a very high value brand, I think is what I'm going for. That one sold for $34, it looks like. Of course, Taylor Swift. There's so many different options here. We got New Kids on the Block there. That one sold for $30 for that. We've got, just all kinds of different, whatever band you can think of, there's probably a market for that. We got a Van Halen one that went for $24. I see that is from Forever 21. We got a Fleetwood Mac for $20. We got Willie Nelson for $39. That one went for. So keep your eye out for those band tees. Next are penny lane coats. So this is a specific style of coat. The other name for it is a Afghan coat. So you'll often see both of those used in the title. And what these are is they have fur trim around the collar as well as the cuffs of the sleeves, and often on the openings as well. And these are hot. These are big money right now. So we got this one here that I just showed you, Y2K. It says brown suede. This was also popular back in the 70s, but that one sold for $200 for a no-name brand. For that one, we got a Guess one there. That one sold for $104. Got another one there for $90. $300 for that one. That one looks like it's probably from the 70s with that leather on it. You got a denim one there. So that is a Y2K one. That one did go for $170, but you can see the prices on these are really good. And there are a lot of items that are selling for that $100, plus mark for these. So keep your eye out for this style of coat. We got one here that's a really good example of that penny lane look. That one sold for $300. Next are vintage muumuus. So with these muumuus, you're going to want to specifically look for items that are made in the USA. Often they are made in Hawaii, and they will say that on the tag. But there's many different brands. Anthony Richards is a popular one. That one sold for $27. We got this vintage orange and green one, Poppies, it looks like. That one sold for $50. Another one here, that one sold for $85. But all different styles. The more unique that it is, obviously, the more it's going to sell for, as well as the bigger sizes do tend to sell for more money as well when it comes to muumuus especially. Next are men's vintage Hawaiian shirts. as well as women's. I'll show you the women's here in a second, but the men's are selling for, you know, right around $30 to $50, depending on the brand, depending on the condition, of course. We got one here that went for $40, another, that's a Tommy Bahama, that one went for $60. Got another Tommy Bahama there for $70. So these can be pretty good things to pick up if you come across them. And then as far as the women's, what these are a little bit shorter cropped shirt. So you got a good example there. That's a Tommy Bahama. That one went for $25. We got a one here that went for $24. Again, it doesn't necessarily matter the brand with these. Another one went for $25 there. It doesn't necessarily matter the brand with these. One of the brands that I keep seeing pop up over and over is this Jams World. So I actually did pull up the tag for you there. It is very 90s kind of look with that. So that is what that looks like if you do come across those. Next are vintage running shorts. And the prices on these are pretty good. So we've got Adidas there that went for almost $64. We got another Adidas over there for about $35. We got some Nike, some more Nike down here, more Nike. Those went for almost $40 for those. Another Adidas for about $40. So some decent prices when it comes to these vintage running shorts. The way that you're going to tell that these are vintage for the most part is that they're going to have that shorter inseam that was really popular. So we got actually Champion here. That one went for $75 for Champion. Here we got another pair of Champion shorts that went for $55. So another good example of maybe not a higher end brand, but still selling for a decent amount. The next item that I've got for you are shiny soccer shorts. That is a mouthful. And what you're looking for with these are that material that is really shiny. It's going to look shiny. It's going to feel shiny. And these, for some reason, there is a market for these. Got Reebok here, went for $25. These Umbro that I just zoomed in on, those ones went for $67. Got another pair of, I guess those are Diadora. Those one went for $25. The prices on all of these are pretty good. We got another pair of Umbro right there. Those went for $65, even with the wrinkles. We got another Nike there with those stripes. Those went for $25. So keep your eye out for those soccer shorts. I'm seeing another pair of Adidas there that went for $60. Next, I've got vintage tearaway pants. So what I mean by these is down the sides of the legs, you are going to see snaps. And so it allows the pants to just kind of be ripped off. So I guess you can get into the game. I'm assuming they're for basketball as well as soccer, but you're going to see these types of pants, and they're selling for right around that 25 to 35, maybe closer to $40 mark for these types of pants if you do come across these. I see a pair there that went for $35, another pair here for $48 those sold for. Next, I've got vintage color block. So this is another one trend that has been trending for a while, that has been popular for a while, but it is still popular. And so I just put in vintage color block. This is all items that come under that category that fall within that search range. So you're going to see a variety of items here. You're going to see everything from polos. That one went for $129 to jackets that went for $85. You're going to see some sweaters in here, even a purse right here, $30. Another jacket here, that one went for $70. But again, this is about the look and not necessarily the brand. So another good example right here, $35 for a no-name brand casual aisle. But what you're looking for with this are those brightly colored patterns and those big blocks of color. That is what color block is. Next are vintage nightgowns. And I did put in nightgowns, but you could also search for vintage lingerie. That's another popular or similar keyword for this. But this did allow me to pull up a few different types of items to be able to show you. So we got a Victoria's Secret there. That one went for $29. The items that I wanted to show you that might be a little bit surprising are these flannel nightgowns. So that one went for $25. We got a Victoria's Secret flannel nightgown. That one went for $29. We got another one over here from LL Bean. That went for $35. So keep your eye out for these older style of sleepwear.
If you don't want to remember all of this, I have a free brand list and keyword list in the description. It's just a reference that you can use when you're sourcing and listing, totally optional. All right, so let's make this practical. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, but what should I actually be picking up? In this next video, I'm sharing specific vintage clothing items that consistently sell well, especially on eBay, so you can source with confidence instead of second guessing. Hit play.
10 lucrative items for you to flip. Let's get started. Number 1 is vintage overalls. This is a super hot trend right now, and it's not uncommon for overalls to go for $50 or more, just like these Gap overalls that sold for almost $80. Don't worry about stains, fraying, or holes with this sort of trend. It's part of the look. It's part of that grunge era look from the 1990s. Also, if you come across overalls that have embroidery, such as Mickey Mouse or even Winnie the Pooh, these also can sell for really well, just like this pair of Winnie the Pooh overalls that sold for $40. And don't forget about overalls' closely related cousin, the short all. These are the short overalls. Check out these Guess vintage short alls that sold for almost $60. Number 2 on the list is vintage men's JNCO jeans. These are the jeans that all the cool kids wore in the 90s. These were skater, wide leg style. Some of them have really intricate, wild pattern of embroidery on them. The wilder that logo is, that embroidery is, the more money that these tend to sell for. Check out this pair of JNCO jeans that sold for nearly $150. These jeans have a very high sell-through rate, which makes them a great candidate to put on auction. Again, with the style, don't worry about if the jeans have fraying or holes in them. It's all part of that grunge look. And don't overlook other brands if they're not JNCO, but if they're still that wide leg skater baggy style, those can sell for $50 even for brands that you may not have heard of before. Number 3 on the list is men's Nike vintage windbreakers. These can sell for as much as $100. You're going to want to look for anything with a big swoosh or what are called spell out letters. So the word Nike or even the Air Jordan spelled out either across the back or the front of the item. Look for both full zip jackets as well as pullover style jackets. Check out this Nike Air Jordan jacket that sold for almost $70. Number 4 on the list are vintage gunny sacks dresses. These are dresses that are straight out of the 70s. They'll have a very flowy boho vibe to them. A lot of them have floral prints and ruffles. Additionally, the Gunny Sacks brand made dresses into the 80s, and these also sell very well. Look for those puffy sleeves that were typical of the 80s dresses. Now, these dresses can sell for into the thousands of dollars, but most will sell for $100 to $150 range. Check out this dress that sold for over $1,300. Number 5 on the list is men's vintage Filson clothing. Now, these can sell for a ton of money, especially the coats, but don't overlook other items like vests, t-shirts, hats. The coats can sell for $200 to $500 depending on the condition. Check out this buffalo plaid coat that sold for over $250, or this other Mackinac that sold for $372. If you come across damaged items that have large tears or moth holes, don't be afraid to sell these either. I've seen these sell oftentimes for well over $100. Number 6 on the list are vintage men's German wool pants. I know that's a mouthful, and there's a lot of different brands out there, but the tags all look something like this, and they'll have a whole bunch of numbers on them. Those numbers don't really mean a whole lot of anything, but these pants can sell for $50 to $100. What you want to look for in these pants are specifically for pants that have what's called a vapor barrier in the knee, and this will be a crinkly material. It's very loud and noisy, so if you touch the knee area, you'll hear this loud crinkle, and that's the vapor barrier. And those are the pants that people are typically more after than pants without vapor barriers. Just like this pair that sold for $75. Number 7 on the list is vintage jean jackets. Now, all sorts of brands are selling, but specifically Levi's are selling really well. Wranglers also sell pretty well, but don't overlook other brands like this Sears brand that sold for $75. If you can find Sherpa-lined jean jackets, those are selling especially well right now. That's the faux fur that's around the collar and in the body of the jacket. This Levi's Sherpa-lined jacket sold for $160. Number 8 on the list are vintage Wilson's leather jackets.
I find that the men's jackets sell much better than the women's, and also brown jackets sell better than black jackets. You're also going to want to look for the Adventure Bound label by Wilson's, and this is one of the jackets that sold for over $100. If you're wondering what that Adventure Bound label looks like, this is what it looks like. Number 9 on the list was a surprise to me, and these are vintage Adidas athletic shorts. These shorts, especially if they have a really short inseam, are selling for upwards of $50, just like this pair. You're also going to want to look for Adidas shorts that have a shiny material. This shiny material is a hot seller right now. Check out these shiny soccer shorts that sold for almost $40. Number 10 on the list, last but not least, are vintage muumuus. Now, I find a lot of other resellers are not tapping into this profitable niche, but these muumuus can sell for upwards of $50. What you're going to want to look for with these are the larger sizes, especially plus sizes. You're going to want to look for brightly patterned muumuus, as well as ones that are made in the US or specifically in Hawaii. Check out this Royal Creations muumuu that sold for $70.
Now let's move from concepts to quick wins. In this next section, I'm breaking down specific vintage pieces that you can look for right away. Items that flip consistently and don't necessarily rely on trends, which is what they're shopping for. That's what they're looking for. And this t-shirt that you're looking at, it's a tour t-shirt from Human Rights Now. This was made by Reebok and it sold for $60. And then over on eBay, there are a lot of these paper thin shirts selling as well. Now I accidentally hit to sort from low to high when I was researching comparable sales. And I did want to quickly point this out because this is a big mistake that a lot of new resellers make, is starting auctions at a penny or 99 cents. And for most items, that doesn't work. There has to be an extremely high demand to be able to start bids that low and expect to be able to make a profit. So I did want to point these out so that you don't make the same mistake. And it's a good reminder to always research your comps, price your items accordingly. And if you're wondering if you should go for an auction listing or a fixed price listing, then make sure to subscribe because I'll be having a future video come out soon where I will cover that very topic. Now, a sale over here on eBay, this is an Olympia beer t-shirt. This one is full of stains. It has a rip at the shoulder seam. It also has a large section of hem that is completely torn. And this one sold for the full asking price of almost $180. Now, I do want to mention on the material tag, it does say Dacron. That is actually a really good clue and a way to be able to identify vintage for yourself. I do have a video I'm going to link to up here where I walk you through various ways to be able to identify vintage. The second BOLO item when it comes to vintage is what is called dead stock. These are old items that are not made anymore, but they're new with the tags. And the tags are usually that dead giveaway that these items are older. You're gonna see things like handwriting on the tags. You're gonna see maybe stamps on the tags. I'll show you some examples of that here in a second. But with a lot of these dead stock items, you don't necessarily need to worry about having a mainstream brand. This first sale that we're looking at is over on Poshmark, and this is a beaded blouse from a brand that's called Lawrence Kazar. This one sold for $50, and I want you to notice on the tag that it is handwritten and that the style name is stamped on there. This is another sale over on Poshmark that is a women's button-up shirt from the brand Villager. This one sold for $50 as well. Note that the shoulder pads are attached there inside of the item. You're gonna see that with a lot of older items, those shoulder pads inside of the women's clothing. Now with the tags, I want you to note that the edges of those tags are perforated and a lot of those numbers on the tags are stamped. And then I've got a little bit newer item over on eBay to show you. This is a pair of men's jeans from the brand Bugle Boy, and these sold for $75. These tags obviously don't look quite so old as the others. But again, it's a good reminder that if you come across any items that are new with tags, if the tags do look a little bit on the older side, there's a good chance that there's a demand for those items, even if you don't necessarily recognize the brand. Again, look up those comps before you go and make any sourcing decisions. The third vintage bolo item are grunge items. This one is a little bit harder to define, but it has to do with more of the look of the item. And this grunge look really stemmed from grunge music from around the late 80s to early 1990s. But the fashion grunge is still going strong, especially with men's clothes. You're gonna see a lot of baggy fits, a lot of oversized clothes. You're gonna see flannel shirts, distressed jeans, t-shirts, beanies. And this first item that I have for you on Poshmark is a t-shirt that sold for $53, and it has the word Toltec on the front. Not exactly sure what that is. The back has got a skull as well as crossbones, and I love the description that this seller used. It says insane fade and thrashed even better. This is a Hanes heavyweight tag, not the greatest of photos, but if you do come across those Hanes tags that are either heavyweight and or they say made in the USA, chances are you're gonna wanna do a little bit more research, and that could be a valuable find. The next item that I've got for you sold on Poshmark as well, and this is a Gap velvet skirt. It does not scream vintage, but it definitely fits with the grunge aesthetic. And that's really the power of these aesthetic style-based keywords, is it helps you get an item that's maybe a little bit more plain, like this black skirt, and then get it in front of the right buyers that are looking for those aesthetics. This one sold for $60, and I also want to note that on Poshmark, you have the ability to have style tags. And so this seller used style tags of 90s, grunge, as well as emo. If you would love to be able to learn more about these aesthetic keywords or be able to have a resource that allows you to type up your descriptions and titles in a matter of seconds, then you're gonna wanna check out my keyword style poster. This next item is over on eBay, and this is a Faded Glory men's hoodie with skulls on it. And this one sold for $80, but there's some of these selling for as much as $100. Unfortunately, this one does have the tag cut out of it. And with this one, you're not seeing grunge in the title, but it is in the item specifics under theme. And if you're having trouble with slow sales, keywords can be one of the best things to turn your sales around quickly. I am going to link to a video up here if you're looking for more keywords like this that you can go and plug into your listings and see your sales start to turn around. The next vintage bolo are union made items. Any items that you come across that are union made, there's a good chance that those items could be a very good return on your investment. Over on Poshmark, this is an ILGWU dress. That's International Ladies Garment Workers Union. This is a gorgeous dress with satin fabric, puff sleeves, ruching, a rosette there at the waist, and that one sold for $100. This is another ILGWU item. That is one of the more common unions that you will come across when it comes to clothing. And this is a two-piece wool skirt and jacket set, and this one sold for $90. There are lots of different unions, and not all of the union names are going to be specifically on the item. They may just say union made. Over on eBay, this is a pair of overalls, and it does say union made there on the tag along with the brand name, which is Hercules. And this pair of overalls sold for $101.99. Next, single stitch t-shirts. Single stitching usually indicates that the item is older. Not always, but most single stitch items are. There are newer brands that are using this just because they know that buyers are out there looking for this feature. Over on Poshmark, this is a t-shirt. It says Ciao Baby. This one sold for $49. I'm not sure on the brand on this one. This one also does not have the best
picture of that single stitch. I'll show you that here in a second, a little bit better picture if you're wondering what single stitch is and how to be able to identify that. This next one is another t-shirt that sold on Poshmark with Miami Vice on it. It does have several stains, but this t-shirt sold for $45. And over on eBay, there are a ton of single stitch t-shirts selling from $50 all the way up to $200+. This is a super interesting t-shirt, all over print with single stitching. It has the Chief sitting bull on it. I'm not sure the whole story behind this shirt, but it did have 8 bids and it sold for $218.50 and bids were started at $100. Next vintage bolo are Y2K items. Any items from Y2K that you come across, chances are that there is a really good demand for those items, whatever they are, if they're for men or for women. But I do find that the demand for men's items actually does tend to be a little bit higher in this category. Over on Poshmark, this is a sold pair of shoes from the brand Skechers. This is a style that is known as jammers. These are super popular and there are a ton of these selling. These sold for $49, but these are an easy $40 to $60 sale. And there's a ton of different Y2K shoes selling, by the way. I do have a video I'm gonna link to up here if you're interested in learning about other Y2K styles and brands that are selling. Next is another sale on Poshmark that is from Abercrombie and Fitch. This is a mini skirt that sold for $148. There is a huge demand for these types of skirts. And note that this is a 00. So just because it is a very, very tiny size doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to sell. There was demand for this, and that again is sold for $148. If you're looking for even more mall brands that are selling for crazy amounts, then you're gonna want to check out this video. Now over on eBay, when it comes to Y2K items, the demand is definitely there again for both men and women. And this is a Harley Davidson t-shirt from Atlantic City. This one actually had 30 bids on it and it sold for $118.50. Next, salvage denim. Salvage denim usually indicates that the item is either older or it's from a premium brand. Current high-end brands are making jeans out of salvage denim, but you're gonna see salvage denim a lot more commonly in older vintage jeans. You're gonna see this commonly in brands like Levi's as well as Lee. And if you're wondering what salvage denim is, it's just a finished denim. So the edges are finished, and the easiest way to be able to identify these is to roll up the cuff and see if the edges of the material are finished. You're usually going to see a red line, not always, but that red line is very common. If you're seeing a finished edge on that denim, then that is salvage denim. This is a pair of Levi's with salvage denim, and this one sold for about $80. Next, cottage core items. This is another one of those aesthetic based keywords, and it's really about the look of the item. With cottage core, you're gonna see a lot of floral prints. You're gonna see tiered dresses and skirts in maxi length, and it can even incorporate things like knit sweaters. This first item that I have for you is from Poshmark. This one sold for $55, and this is a button-up midi dress from the brand Dennis Goldsmith. This is another sale over on Poshmark that used the term cottage core. This is actually a handmade floral dress that sold for $81. Because it's handmade, there's no size tag, there's no material tag. So that is a good reminder that just because a tag might be missing, or if it's a handmade item, there is no tag, don't just automatically pass over those. Some of those items can be really profitable. Go ahead and include dimensions and an approximate size, and those items usually always sell. Over on eBay, this is a sweater vest, and this one sold for $60. This does have embroidery on it, what looks to be crewel embroidery, and the seller did use the keyword Nordic, but to me this looks a little bit more from South America. Again, $60 for this item with a best offer. Next vintage bolo are any items that are made in the USA. Now that does not necessarily mean the item is vintage, because there are current brands that are made in the USA
USA today. But when you come across tags that are made in the USA, there's a very high chance that that is a vintage item. It was right around the turn of the millennium when a lot of items started being manufactured in countries outside of the USA. This is an example of a made in the USA item. This is a Peanuts scrub top in size extra large, and this one sold for $40. This is another sale over on Poshmark that is a Hawaiian beer shirt. This one sold for $85 from the brand Barefoot in Paradise. This is 100% cotton. It's made in the USA. It's also a size 6XL. So a reminder there, if you do come across those big sizes, those especially big sizes like a 6XL, those are almost always a surefire large profit ROI. And then this is a pair of Levi's 501s. These are an easy $70 to $100 if you come across these that have a tag that say made in the USA. This one that you're looking at here sold for $89 for the full asking price. And I saved one of my favorite vintage bolos for last. This is one that I find that a lot of resellers skip over, pass over, maybe they don't know about it. And this makes a really great sourcing opportunity, especially if you're a new reseller, because even professional sellers pass these types of items over. And these are vintage bags. Now there's all different types of vintage bags that are selling, and the return on these, the profit on these is high. This first one that you're looking at is a Juicy Couture bag that sold on Poshmark. This is from approximately the Y2K era in hobo style. And this one sold for $112 with flaws. And there's lots of these selling for right around that $100 to even $200+ mark. That hobo style is really popular for Y2K bags, as well as the baguette style. This next sale is over on Poshmark as well, and this is a tapestry bag. This is actually what is called Kalim. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly, but it is a flat woven pileless rug, and these are common with bags, and there is a demand for these. This bag sold for $51. And tapestry, whatever kind of tapestry it is, there really is a demand for that style right now. The other type of vintage bags that I just love are any bags for men, whether they're leather bags or leather trim bags with canvas. These can be big sellers. They can be an easy $100 to even $200+ dollars. And this is a leather bag for men that sold over on eBay. This is from a brand that is called Whipping Post, and this one sold for $120 plus $19 of shipping. Now that you know what should sell, let's talk about what looks like it shouldn't sell. Some of the most profitable vintage flips don't look trendy, aesthetic, or even sellable at first glance, but buyers prove otherwise. In this final section, I'm sharing items that look like they should have been thrown in the trash, but resellers who are in the know are making huge amounts of money on these items. Cue the tape.
And I've heard from the last few videos that I've done, when I show items like this that are in throwaway condition, some of you are saying that those are not real sales. And I'm about to prove that wrong. There is a huge market for these types of items. So I did go ahead and pull up items that match the keyword thrashed. And there are a total of 21,000 items that are currently listed. These are not sold items, but I did go ahead and filter that down to sold items. I already got that pulled up here for you. And there are 4,300 items that are showing sold that match that keyword thrashed. And this is just on eBay alone. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these items that are selling. So I've got this first one here for you. We're also going to be talking about some other keywords that really relate to this thrashed keyword. And with this t-shirt, you're seeing a lot of sun fading. So that is another keyword to be on the lookout for. That is something to be on the lookout for when you're out sourcing items, is actually sun faded items, in addition to paint. So I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see just how much paint is over the bottom of that t-shirt. There's even maybe like a bleach stain there on this t-shirt. Here's what the back looks like. That's sun faded, but not quite so much paint as the front has. And it is from Mexico, so it's got that fish there. But with these aren't necessarily about the brand. You're going to see some brands repeating over and over again in this video. There is what that brand tag looks like. That one is sold for $45 in that condition that you may have otherwise passed over, or even have thrown away in your garbage can. This next item is a button-up a snap shirt from Wrangler. So there is the tag there. Definitely a vintage item with this one. This one is not quite in throwaway condition, but it does have several flaws. So here you're seeing a seam gap there at the pocket where that thread is coming loose. Across the pocket is that W where that is coming loose. This one also does have some paint and stains, as well as some holes starting there. There's another hole in the arm sleeve there. Some bleach spots, it looks like, on the back of that shirt. That one sold for $50 in that condition. Here is a sweatshirt. So let me go ahead and show you some of the pictures on these. So it's got some bleach spots. It's got a little hole there in the sleeve. It's got some large bleach stains down the body of this sweatshirt. And there's the tag there. So definitely a vintage tag, but that one sold for $55. This is a jacket. I'm going to show you what this looks like, but I wanted to show the tag first there. But this is a suede jacket. Now, it doesn't look too bad from this picture, but actually that arm has a ton of bleaching, a ton of fading along the whole length of that arm. There's a little bit closer look there for you. That sold for $78 using that keyword thrashed. Here's Hanes beefy t-shirt. Now wait till you see this one. With this one is a feral cat coalition, and you can see across the front here that there's all kinds of stains. There's also a large hole. Here's a couple little smaller holes up there. Here's what this looks like. So it's got a cat there on the front. You can also see that it's got heavy bleaching under the arms. The back here, it says homeless and stray, and then neuter and spay, and then a phone number to call. This t-shirt sold for $45. We got a pair of Carhartt jeans here. This is a brand that you're going to see repeating over and over again when it comes to this thrashed condition. I'm not going to be showing the tags on it for every Carhartt item, but look at this one. This one, those double knees are actually pulling away here at the top of where that double knee starts. It's got holes in the crotch of all places. It's got frame down here at the cuffs. There's that tag picture real quick there for you. Those sold for $150. This is another Carhartt item. This is a jacket where there is heavy frame on that sleeve. This one also, by the way, does have a logo here on it. Don't worry about those logos. Those mean literally nothing. It's got few stains here at the back of the shoulder, as well as another hole. This one is actually not in too bad of condition. That one sold for $150. This next item is another t-shirt that has paint all over it from Gildan. It is a 2XL. You're seeing some fraying as well as some small holes there, the neckline. There is that t-shirt with the paint on it, as well as some small holes and some other stains. And this is from, believe Wilco Marine is what it says there on the front as well as the back. That one sold for $70 using that thrashed keyword. This is another Carhartt item. This one is in very poor condition. You're seeing there this large hole that's worn through the zipper. Here's another hole in the shoulder area there. There's what the sleeves look like. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit there for you. So that sleeve is almost all the way worn through, as well as that other sleeve. And this jacket in that condition sold for $100. This next one is actually a Polo Ralph Lauren. So I'm going to see if I can get a little bit better view of that tag there. It's at the bottom of your screen here, Polo by Ralph Lauren. You can see that it's completely worn all the way through the hood. the lining in that hood. There's some holes there around the edge of that jacket. This one also has heavy paint stains as well as maybe sun fading or bleach marks there down the front of the jacket. There's a better look at those sleeves. This one in that condition sold for $120. Got a Gildan t-shirt here for you. This is an extra large. Zoom in on that tag. It is a made in Mexico item. So this isn't, a made in USA item or anything like that. Here's what that looks like. It's got a large hole up there at the collar of the neck. It's got some stains here. It's got some small holes in it. There's what that looks like. Oh, and sold for $100. I do want to quickly point out a couple of the keywords that they did use: sun faded as well as gradient. So you're going to see that in a lot of the items that are selling, as well as this keyword of paper thin. So just wait till you see some of the other items that are using that paper thin keyword. This is a overall from a brand that is called Pointer brand. This is a vintage item. This one has a lot of staining throughout the leg. So I wanted to show this one because it's not just Carhartt items that are selling in this condition. So there is that Pointer brand tag. That is a made in the USA brand. That one sold for $49. This is a liquid blue t-shirt. So there's the tag there. If you have not seen liquid blue, that is a very prominent, very profitable brand when it comes to vintage items. But this t-shirt, it looks like this has not been natural thrashing or wearing, but it looks like somebody's actually cut into this one. So I do want to make that distinction here. So you can see there at the shoulder, there's a little bit more at the shoulder, and you can see there across the back of the item, all of the holes. You can see that that big U is cut into the shape of the neck there. That one sold for $40. This next item is a pair of jeans, and this one has a lot of holes and patchwork. You can't see them all here. You can kind of make them out a little bit, but I'll show you a better picture of just how many holes are in this pair of jeans. They actually do have a picture of the inside of the jeans where you can see those patches. This is at the cuff of the jeans. You can see that there is a large hole worn through. There's another one in the other cuff. So both cuffs do have that heavy wear, but here are those patches. So the picture, is from the inside of the jeans. They were turned inside out. So that those patches could be better seen. You're even seeing a hole right there at the crotch of those jeans. These are a Levi's orange tab jean. By the way, there are lots of these selling in this condition. This one sold for $85. Now this next item, this is another Carhartt with heavy wear, heavy grease stains. You're seeing all of the stains there, all of the fraying. That one sold for $175. Real quick, I want to mention my style keyword poster because it specifically covers aesthetic-based keywords, just like this thrashed keyword you're seeing, along with 79 other keywords that buyers are out there searching for. This next is a t-shirt from Russell Athletics. So that's definitely a vintage tag that you are seeing there, but this one is in awful condition. Here on the back, it says Larry, and it looks like they were in rainbow colors, and those have worn off. You can see those huge holes in the armpits there, as well as in those sleeves. This one also has a ton of staining, as well as some holes in the body of this. And this is actually Kawasaki. Most of those letters are worn off there. That one sold for $75. I want to mention that these are sold items. These are not just listed items. And I have hand selected items where a best offer was not accepted. If a best offer was accepted, I will point that out. And that will say here, there will be a strike through that price when a best offer is accepted. It will also say best offer accepted. So know that these are the actual prices that these items are selling for. This is a pair of Carhartt jeans here. I had to show these because these are completely worn through in those double knees. So you may come across Carhartt like this and see that the knees are worn out and go, okay, I'm going to pass that, not worth it. That one sold for $75. And this isn't just like one or two items selling. There are tons selling in this condition. This item, this one actually had 3 bids on it. Unfortunately, they only have one. Let's take more than one photo. This is worn through completely in that sleeve. There's paint on the sleeve, bleaching on the sleeve, fading on the sleeves. That one had 3 bids. One went for $42. So if you could pick that up for a couple dollars, maybe somebody's even throwing it away at a garage sale. 40 bucks in your pocket for garbage. This one, this is another t-shirt. This is actually cut off where they cut off the sleeves. And this is from, I believe, a band called Converge, but I'm zooming in here so you can see all of those holes. So you can see those stainings. So you can see that bleaching there. There's the back of the shirt. There's what the front of the shirt looks like. But that one sold for $100. And there's tons of different band tees that are selling for a ton of money in this condition. So do not be afraid to pick these items that are garbage. This is a brand, I believe that this is called Allure. So there's is the tag zoomed in there for you. It's nothing special. This is not a band tee. This is not any sort of big name. There's no, nothing on this. But this one has a ton of stains on it, as well as blue. I'm assuming that must be paint. So there's some more of those blue markings there on this. There's the back of that shirt. That t-shirt in that condition sold for $43. Got a pair of Levi's silver tap shorts here for you. These are not too bad. The back isn't too bad. Most of the wear there is on the leg of the jeans. So you can see there at the center of each leg how much that's worn, especially that left leg that is very, very worn off almost. That one sold for $42. This next item is one of those paper thin t-shirts that I mentioned a little bit ago. And this one also has a lot of holes in it. It's got that sleeve there, almost completely ripped off. It's got a hole there, a couple of holes there at the neckline, as well as holes there at the back of the neck. That one, you see the price on this one? This one's over $135. I want to quickly point out some of these other keywords. We're using zombie, as well as super thrashed, and again, that paper thin, as well as blank, because there is nothing else on that t-shirt. This is a no fear item. Says, what are you, a man or a mouse? There is the back of the item. You're seeing some holes there up at that collar. Hopefully you saw the holes here in that photo. Here's the front of the item. There's a couple of small holes here where it says no fear. That one sold for $45. Got a sweatshirt here for you. This is at the center of the sweatshirt, at the front of the sweatshirt. Hopefully you can see that hole there, how big it is, as well as that paint. There they put their fingers in there so you can get a little bit better glimpse of just how big that hole is. There it is at the center of that sweatshirt. That one sold for $45. Got another destroyed Levi's jacket here. The sleeve is completely worn away. You're looking at the lining of that jacket. It looks to be a blanket lining, as well as this is it's just shredded. I don't even know if thrashed is the right word for this one. There is the back of that jacket. It does look like dirt stains as well. That one sold for $55. Got another Carhartt item. There are lots of these, by the way, in this cream colored or whitish off-white color that are selling that have a lot of staining. So if you come across these items that are dirty, do not be afraid to pick them up. Here you're seeing a lot of fraying there at the bottom of the jacket, in addition to that just kind of overall dirtiness and stains. There's the back of the vest with a few stains there as well. That one sold for $60. Now they did put the condition as fair, so make sure that you mark that, especially on eBay, especially since eBay has updated their item conditions. Make sure that you put that as, in the poorest condition that you can, because you don't want to get in trouble for over promising on these items. But really, people are after this look. They're after the stains. They're after the tears. They're after the holes. This is a Bob Dylan t-shirt, and with this one has just some overall bleaching to it. You can see a little bit better on this bigger picture, the bleaching here, bleaching on the sleeves, bleaching up here along that neckline. That one sold for $40. This next one is another Carhartt that is in really bad condition. I'm going to see if I can zoom in on that kangaroo pocket there for you. But you can see that is pretty much gone. It's pretty much pointless at that point to even have a pocket there. You can see those sleeves there. Like half of the sleeve is about to come off. This one, a best offer was accepted. It was listed at $90, but I did go ahead and look that up for you. Let me move my face there. That is that same exact item. That one sold for $55 plus shipping. This next one is another t-shirt, and you can see how the neck is almost coming off there on both the front and the back. It says Demon something marching band there on it. This one is a champion t-shirt, by the way. So there is the tag there for you. That one sold for $90. So you're seeing thrashed as well as distressed there in the title of that item. This one is another Pointer brand item, again, a made in the USA vintage brand. This one is a hickory stripe jacket. And check out the arms on these, the sleeves on those. So that sleeve has that hole. Over here on that sleeve, pretty much half of that lower sleeve is gone. That one sold for $70. This next one is a t-shirt by a brand that is called Tribal. This is definitely a Y2K look for this item. You're seeing a hole there as well as there, as well as some wear there along the edge of that hood. This one's not in too bad of condition. We've definitely seen worse with this one. It does look like there's some wear there, some holes there on that sleeve, but that one sold for $100. This next one is a Ozfest t-shirt. This one definitely has some sun fading going on it. There on the back is where it says Ozfest. And you can see a little bit more of the sun fading there, as well as that has some holes. There is the brand tag. Let me go ahead and zoom in on that one. It says T America. That one sold for $100. Now you're seeing some of these say out of stock instead of the sold, but that is a sold item. But you don't have to be dependent just on Banties. This is actually an Elmo t-shirt. So you're seeing Elmo there on the front of this. You're also seeing some stains. I'm not sure if those are paint. You're seeing holes there at the top of the shoulder, a hole there at the armpit. There's that hole again at the top of the shoulder. And so this t-shirt sold for $40 for that condition. That one in even worse condition, but this is a unique design where this is actually a double layer. So you're seeing blue and then yellow underneath. You're seeing stains. Like, check out those stains at the bottom of that t-shirt. There's some more there for you. This one looks like a dog, like maybe bit off that sleeve there, right? That one sold for $50 for that condition. Got a pair of Abercrombie and Fitch cargo shorts. With this one, these are not too bad, but they do have some wearing through there. They also have some holes there at the pocket, as well as the corners of those cargo pockets there. Got maybe a little bit of a stain here, as well as some more of those wear holes. Those sold for $45. This next one is a Green Day t-shirt. There's the front of it. There's the back side of that t-shirt. That one sold for $150. So definitely be on the lookout for these thrashed items when it comes to these band tees. With this one, this is a Lee jacket that somebody actually added a bunch of patches to. This one does have some wear around the neck of that jacket. So you're seeing how that top layer of the denim is completely worn through. There's a little bit of wear here at one of the sleeves, but overall this jacket isn't in too bad a condition, but that one sold for $100. Got another pair of Carhartt double knee jeans with these. They don't have too many stains or holes, but they do have that bleaching and that fading. With this one, it was listed for $100, but a best offer was accepted, and I did go ahead and look that up for you. That one sold for $85 for that item. Now, this is a pair of Dickies. I know that we've looked at a lot of Carhartt jeans, but this is Dickies, obviously used by a painter. Check out the back of that where they've been wiping their hands. All different kinds of paint colors there, by the way. And the front of those jeans, those ones sold for $45 in that condition. If you know some painters, you know you have some money on your hands. Speaking of paint, check out these Carhartt overalls. I believe that these were actually cut off. I don't believe that Carhartt actually makes shorts like these. Again, heavy paint on those. They were painting with white, it looks like. Those sold for $150. Got another pair of Carhartt item jeans here, double knee jeans, where those are completely worn through that double knee. You're seeing even up there at the hip that is almost completely all the way worn through. Those sold for $43. Now, Carhartt's a really solid brand. If you're interested in other really solid men's brands, you're going to want to check out my Big Money Brands men's guide. I'm going to link to that over there for you. Got another Carhartt item. I did mention these lighter colored or off-white, now kind of dingy brown, but these are selling. You can see all of that paint, some paint sprinkles, it looks like there on the sleeve of the jacket. Along the bottom of that jacket, there's heavy fraying as well as at those sleeve cuffs. That one sold for $60. Got another Carhartt item. I had to show this one. This has got some holes there. It's also got a large stain at the center of the jacket. I'm not sure if that's a cigar. I'm not sure what did that. Also, the sleeves on this one are really in bad condition. So we got one sleeve there. There was another sleeve over on this side where that is worn probably about halfway around that sleeve, about to come off. That one had one bid on it, by the way. So there is that one bid. That one sold for $60. This next item is a Budweiser t-shirt. This one has heavy fading. You can't see a whole lot anymore on this jacket or on this t-shirt. Here's some of the stains there at the bottom of that. Very, very just kind of dingy looking t-shirt. That one sold for $59. This one is from Camel Cigarette Company. It says the hard pack. So there is the front of that shirt. You're seeing maybe some paint stains there across the front. There's a couple more views of that. And then there is the back of that t-shirt, what that looks like. Again, there are those paint stains. That one sold for $65. Got a Betty Boop t-shirt here. This one's got holes in it. It's got stains. Got some more holes there. And that one sold for $50 using that thrashed keyword. Here's another one of those blank t-shirts, paper thin. And with this one has a ton of staining just all over, just kind of dirty, right? You look at that and you just think dirty. You probably think that needs to be thrown in the trash can, but the seller decided to list it. Here is the top of the shoulder. There's the sleeve. You can see, just how dirty that is. That one sold for $40. Now, that one is a vintage. It's approximately from the 60s, so you do need to keep that in mind with these. You can't just take a brand new t-shirt, destroy it, and then it's going to sell for a lot of money. This is a sweatshirt. And this was actually a reverse weave. So let me go ahead and zoom in on that reverse weave. So you can see that the ribbing of that runs this way instead of the typical up and down on the body of that sweatshirt. But you're seeing there at the bottom that one has a lot of staining there. You're seeing here at the center, you're seeing some holes at the neck. Let me see if I can get a better picture of that neck there for you. So you can see how heavily worn that is there at the collar of the neck. This sweatshirt from Champion, this one sold for $60. Again, this is one of their reverse weave sweatshirts. Got another Carhartt jacket here for you. This is actually a pretty good angle to be able to see what is going on here. So this one actually has the entire kangaroo pocket ripped off here. You're seeing the kind of remnants of where it was originally sewn on. You're seeing some holes there on the sleeve. Check out the cuff of that, where that is completely, almost worn all the way through. Just heavy fraying on those sleeve cuffs. That one sold for $75, by the way. This one is another t-shirt. This is from the band Creed. With this one, there is bleach stains on it as well as holes. You're looking at the armpit there. It's also got some little holes across the front of that item. That one sold for $70. This next one is another one of those paper thin t-shirts. This is from the brand Jockey, so definitely a vintage tag when you're looking at that there. Got you zoomed in on the tag, so hopefully you saw that. This one has some little holes all over it. It's got a few stains there. It's got some stains there at the top of the shoulder, top of the sleeve. That one sold for $125. Now, I wanted to take a second to invite you to check out the Empowered Reseller membership program. This is where I'm able to personally connect with VIPs. It's where I'm able to answer questions. It's where I'm even able to do things like store reviews, account reviews, listing reviews for my members. I'm live each and every month inside of my membership to be able to do live trainings with my members. It comes with a huge course master vault, as well as you get access to our exclusive VIP community for accountability. It's not just eBay where thrashed items are selling. This is over here on Poshmark. I want to show you a few items. Unfortunately, there's not a way to be able to see a number of how many items are selling, but there are a ton items here when I go ahead and put in thrashed as well as filter down to sold items. Here's a pair of Carhartt, just similar condition to what we saw on eBay. Those sold for $115. Got a t-shirt here from BMX. This one sold for $100. You're noticing that it has that gradient sun fading, so it would be another keyword to use with this one. Got a t-shirt where those sleeves have been cut off. Again, WWF is this one. That one sold for $100. Got a Woolrich jacket here. I'm going to zoom in on that so you can see the stains there at the front of the jacket. That one sold for $120. Now, these Jesus t-shirts are super popular. People are paying a lot of money for these, even if they have holes. So you're seeing a hole there in the armpit, another hole. Back says, I am the way. The front of it has Jesus there. That one sold for $45. I've seen some from that style selling for few $100. This is a sweatshirt. So this one has a little bit of staining there on the sleeve. It's got a little bit of staining here for the body, but this is actually a, I believe Miller Lite is this one. That one sold for $65. Got a Hollister sweatshirt. This one is mostly factory thrashing, but I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on that. If you haven't seen that before, that's what that looks like. These are actually made that way, but this one does have the addition the hole here next to that cross. And then that one sold for $50 in that condition. Here's a Black Sabbath t-shirt. Again, the sleeves are cut off. There's heavy frame, heavy wear. There's a rip there at the neckline of that. There's a hole there down at the bottom. That one sold for $175. Real quick, I want to mention my starter kit. This has everything you need to get and running. If you're brand new to reselling, this has everything you need. I'm going to link to that over here. This is a Ford Racing t-shirt. This one has all over stains on it. That one sold for $45 for that t-shirt. This is a Stussy hoodie. It's got black paint here at the front of that jacket, as well as frame, or I should say hoodie. That one sold for $150. This is a Seattle t-shirt, so it doesn't even have to be any sort of big name brand. So there it says Seattle, Washington. With this one has heavy wear at the cuffs. So check that out. Those cuffs are almost coming off there, as well as fraying there at the bottom. That one sold for $80 in that condition. You're seeing some of the fraying there along the hood of the jacket. This is a NASCAR speed racer. You're seeing the dirt on this, the dirt stains on this. This is a Tooltex, by the way. That one sold for $72. That was a made in Mexico. And this is a Wrangler snap shirt. So you're seeing a hole there at the sleeve, another hole there at the bottom. This one is in pretty good condition. There's a hole there at the center where the snap is. There's a little bit of fraying there at that pocket. That one sold for $45. Got a Jimmy Buffett t-shirt. This one has that fading. It looks like it used to be black. Now it's gray. That one sold for $55. I do want to quickly mention my listing cards. This makes it super quick to get through your listings. Have a place to write down your measurements, any flaws. I'm going to link to that resource over there for you. Got another t-shirt. This one says Jan, lots of time acres. It says trailer park tee. This one sold for $50. I'm going to zoom in on that neckline there for you. So you're seeing some holes there at the neck, hole there at that shoulder. Again, $50 for that item in that condition. This one is an O'Neill sweatshirt. It's got a grease stain or oil stain there. It's got the sleeves coming off. It's got some paint stains on it. That one sold for $50. Got a Steeler sweatshirt. Same thing where the sleeves are about to come off. Even the bottom cuff of that sweatshirt is about to come off. Got some fraying there around that emblem. It's got some holes there in that neckline. That one sold for $67. Got a Philadelphia Eagles. This one has paint on it. It's got stains on it. There are some of the stains there. That one sold for $200. Got a Carhartt jacket here. This one's got some paint, as well as it's got that logo. Don't be afraid of those logos, by the way. I think I've mentioned that already. That one sold for $99. Got another pair of Carhartt jeans there. Those sold for $45 with paint on them. Got another Carhartt. Got all the way worn through to that blanket lining there on the sleeves. It's got heavy dirt there at those sleeve cuffs. That one sold for $101. Now, this is a really cool habit tracker. I'm going to link to that resource over here. This is a way to be able to keep track of your progress, your listing progress, and being able to be consistent, because that's really what it is about with reselling, is being consistent and having that accountability. So this is another Carhartt jacket that I had to show. This one has heavy dirt stains on it. That one sold for $93. Got a Mazda workwear shirt here. This one looks like it has white paint splattered all across the front of this jacket, as well as that, the name there, Ron. That one sold for $45. There's some more of the paint there. This is another Carhartt jacket that's completely thrashed. It's completely worn all the way through. Bottom of that. Let me go ahead and zoom in on that for you. Those sleeve cuffs, completely worn all the way through. That one sold for $48. Got another Carhartt jacket here with heavy grease stain. I can remember coming home and putting Dawn, just soaking these in Dawn, trying to get this all out. You don't have to do that anymore. People are buying this. It was $60 for that condition. Now, these are shoes. So I wanted to show some shoes, because it's not just coats and jackets that are selling in thrash condition. These are actually a pair of shoes, and they actually don't even match. Person says, I like to mix and match shoes. So they got one pair that is black and one pair that is animal print. Heavy dirt on these. These got some rips there on the side. There's that rip there on the side. That sold for $54. Got a pair of Vans in thrash condition. They're just pretty dirty. I don't see a lot of holes or rips to those, but those sold for $45. Got another pair of Carhartt with those holes worn into the knee of those jeans. Those sold for $60. This is another Carhartt jacket I had to show, because this one just has a huge rip in the sleeve of that. It's got, those cuffs coming off. Again, you've seen tons of those. That sold for $50 on Poshmark. Got a pair of Carhartt jeans here. These have a little bit of fading, not too bad, or staining, not too bad. Those sold for $84. Got another Carhartt jacket here for you. That one went for $60. Got a jacket from the American Outdoorsman. And I'm going to go ahead and look at the pictures a little bit closer with you. So it's got some holes there. It's got some light bleach marks. It's got some stains there. It's got a snap here that's missing on that jacket. That one sold for $49. Got another Carhartt one here. Had to show. There are so many of these selling on every platform. That one sold for $55. Got another pair of Carhartt double knee jeans. These just have paint up and down both legs. Those sold for $125.
If you made it to the end of this video, you now have a huge advantage over most resellers, because you're no longer guessing what to flip. Reselling vintage isn't about chasing every trend. It's about recognizing patterns, understanding buyers, and making smarter sourcing decisions over time. If you want more training like this, especially around listing strategies, keywords, and selling more without working more, check the links in the description. And if this video helped you, make sure that you save it and come back to it. This is the kind of content that gets more valuable the longer you sell.